Well, hey everybody, John Rickland here, and this is my review of NWA Crockett Cup 2019. Yes, the NWA is back. The rebirth has really been kicking off pretty good. You can tell Billy Corgan's a long time wrestling fan. He ran Resistance Pro Wrestling in Chicago, did that venture in Impact that didn't end up working out for him all that well, but wanted to relaunch and give a rebirth to the NWA. And you can tell that he really does respect wrestling because he's bringing the NWA into the modern age. Not that it was old-timey or anything, but he is showing the traditionalism of wrestling while also, highlighting some really good talents. Now, I'm not as familiar with some of the NWA roster. I do want to say that right here. So you'll forgive me if I maybe don't know a ton about some of these guys. However, I will do my best to review this. And I did enjoy this. I paid my $25. Really did enjoy this. Watch it on Fight TV. I encourage you guys, if you get a chance, to check this out. The main event in particular was really good. But, of course, it's built around the Crockett Cup format, which is something that Jim Crockett Promotions did for a number of years. A big old tournament, field where they would crown, like these, where a tag team would win all these tag team matches. And in the end, would win a trophy, cash prize, all that stuff. And it was just about the history and the lineage of tag team wrestling. And again, I just can't put over how great it was to see something traditional, but also brought into the modern age. Nick Aldis and Marty Scurll got a ton of hype for their NWA title match, which really, it was good. Hyped their friendship, all that stuff. I really like how they hyped it throughout the entire night. They were at the Carrabba's Arena in Concord, North Carolina, really primed Crockett territory. Like Jim Crockett Promotions, the name still resonates all these years later. And you have Joe Galli, Ian Riccaboni from Ring of Honor, and Jim Cornette on commentary. And that was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. You had a wild card battle royal. The winning team would be the 8th team in the Crockett Cup tournament. It would be 8 teams instead of 24. It's a good thing they didn't do 24 because this event would have gone on forever. Would have had to have been 2 days. You had teams like, and forgive me, I didn't get a chance to write all these down, but you had teams like The Boys. You had Wolf Ferrar and Rhett Titus from Ring of Honor. You had Joe Bradley. And you had Royce Isaacs, and Tom Latimer. And Royce Isaacs looks familiar. I believe he's competed for Defy Northwest, if I recall, as a member of a team called 1%. If not, then he's a freaking clone of the guy because he looks just like him. I believe it is the same guy. I've only seen him wrestle twice, but anyway, what ends up happening is there's this point where Isaacs and Latimer get thrown through the ropes, but not over the rope, and that's the point of a battle royal. You got to go over the top rope. Both feet touch the floor. Easy for me to say. Seems like the Boys won. These two slender but up-and-coming baby faces, pretty over. But they look like they win. Nope. Isaacs and Latimer throw them over, and they win and become the 8th team, become the wild card team. So, yeah, it was fine for what it was. Caprice Coleman, a longtime Ring of Honor competitor, was doing the interviews. And, it was really nice to see him. He's a really good talker. You then had a flip video package talking about him coming back from injury, suffering an injury in this same building, not getting a chance to show the fans what he could do. So you get Flip Gordon and Bandito representing Ring of Honor versus Stuka Jr., I believe, and Guerrera Maya Jr., and they were from CMLL. This was fun. This was probably actually the best first round match. It was, great experience versus speed and stuff like that. I've seen Bandito live. That guy is fucking brilliant. If you get a chance to see Bandito live, please do so. But there was some really good series backbreakers by Maya Jr. That was impressive. And, of course, Cornette with a fairly homoerotic line saying, "You can hear the smack of the meat in the flesh." Yes, because I am a dirty-minded individual, that's exactly where my mind went. Because wrestling, sometimes, you just can't help but do that. There were some great dives, so quick. This was really a fast-paced match, even with, the CMLO guys who were clearly the more experienced and could move, but were obviously, not quite as youthful as Bandito and Flip Gordon. Great momentum switches, swing-out cutter, ended up getting the win for Flip. So, yeah, they advanced. And you get more Scurll and, all this video package where it talks about Scurll's journey to the NWA title or to this match. Some pretty good stuff. And then you get Latimer and Isaacs versus Crimson and Jay Dane, who I believe were the War something or other. I didn't quite catch the name. Everything was moving so fast, and I was trying to pay attention to stuff. I'm surprised Crimson is still wrestling, because I remember him when he was in TNA, and he was pretty good they pushed him too soon, but it's nice to see he's still wrestling and actually has really developed into a pretty good performing, pretty good guy in the ring because they just pushed him way too soon in Impact. He has definitely honed his craft here. His power. Crimson got targeted for a bit. Dane got in. He had some powerful headbutts. Really looked like he hurt himself there, but lifts both Isaacs and Latimer up and ends up getting pinned, or ends up tagging Crimson back in. Crimson, who seems a little off, ends up getting pinned while Isaacs has his feet on the ropes. So there we go. Isaacs and Latimer, 8th team in, and they managed to win the Battle Royal, win here, so they're into the semifinals. Then the Briscoes versus the Rock and Roll Express. And the Cinderella story of the Rock and Roll Express ended here. It was fine. It was fine for what it was. You did have Jim Cornette introduce Rock and Roll Express, and the rich history there of Cornette managing the Midnight Express against Rock and Roll Express, and it was fine. You had him. I don't know how Ricky and Robert are still wrestling. I don't know. Credit to them. They have wrestled in the better part of 5 decades. So great, great work by them. I don't know what the Briscoes were saying. I have never understood a Briscoes promo, but whatever they're passionate about. I'll say that much. You get Ricky just doing a hurricanrana and doing these dives. My God, it was just impressive to see. He did get busted open soon after. Robert got in, but he would eventually fall to the Froggy Bow. Actually, Ricky got pinned. It was kind of a big schmoz and everything, but Ricky did end up getting pinned. And it was fine. It went 100% better than I thought it would, because you're thinking, 2 guys are 60, 62 wrestling, even though they are still world-class athletes, obviously not how they were in their prime. They can still pull out a pretty good match, and it was what it was. It was better than I expected it to be. Briscoes advanced. That was fun. We then get Brody King, PCO, representing Villain Enterprises. I have seen Brody King live. TV does not do justice for just how motherfucking amazing that guy is. PCO, almost had a chance to see him live, but then he signed with Ring of Honor, and I wasn't able to see him. Kojima and Nagata versus, Kojima and Yuji Nagata. Yuji Nagata, world class, same with Kojima. So that was pretty cool. New Japan and Ring of Honor getting, represented here. Nagata and Brody in the same ring. Yes, take my fucking money. Well, they already did, but still, it was a lot of fun. PCO diving. Some good strikes. PCO, insane. I don't know how 51 years old that guy's still doing that. He must just not care. He's like, you know what? I got this chance. I reinvented myself. Whatever. I don't care if I'm walking in 10 years or 5 years or 2 with the way he's diving. But you get a variation of a Michinoku driver, and Brody pins Kojima. It was fitting that Kojima would take the pin. Nothing against Kojima, but I'm just saying Nagata, he holds, a little bit more credence, like as far as to American audiences. I know that's no knock against Kojima, but Nagata's competed more in the U.S. than Kojima did. You could have really gone either way here, but Villain Enterprises advances. And then we get to the women's match. And this is unfortunately where the show came to a screeching halt, and this is no fault of the women. I want to say that right here. The crowd seemed to die. They seemed to die right here. I mean, there were intermittent times where they got hyped up, but it was supposed to be Jazz versus Allison Kay. But unfortunately, Jazz, who was the current NWA Women's Champion, had to vacate the title due to injury. I'm not sure what kind of injury, but some kind of injury. So Santana Garrett stepped in. But then you had Medusa on hand, and she actually came out with the title and cut a promo. If she wasn't drunk, I would sure love to know what she was on. She just seemed lost. She seemed confused. Sure, she's obviously hasn't really been in the spotlight a ton in years, even though she was inducted in WWE Hall of Fame, and she's world-renowned for being one of the toughest women in wrestling, period. One of the toughest wrestlers, because she could take on most of the guys. But this was not a very good... It really wasn't. I swear to God she was drunk. And I love Medusa. I think Medusa's great, but I don't know what to deal with. Maybe it was jet lag. I'm not really sure, but just something was off. And this match, let me just say this much. The match was fine. Allison Kay is really good, as Sienna and Impact. Santana Garrett is really good. Saw a lot of her on WoW Women of Wrestling, and seen her before also. But this, there were some good exchanges, but the crowd not being into it kind of took it out of it. Like, the crowd was just like this, we just got this black cloud over everything, and I just don't know what it was, why the crowd didn't necessarily care. Maybe they were looking forward to Jazz, but Santana and Allison did the best they could. There were some good chops, a couple miscues, but maybe that was just chalked up to the fact that they suddenly had to, like, slot Santana Garrett in there. And it wasn't botches or anything. It was just like something seemed a little off. Maybe they were thrown off by, again, the crowd not being into it. There was a great Moodle lock by Garrett, but a big discus clothesline by Allison, and she gets the win. She wins the vacant NWA Women's Championship, and that was really good. I'm happy that she won, and she should have won, and hopefully she can have some great opponents after this. Hell, she could face Santana Garrett again at some point, but bring in some other women, bring in some women from Ring of Honor, or co-promote maybe with, other promotions. Bring in some other women. I would love to see that. Allison Kay, really, really good, has been good for a number of years. I'm very, very happy for her. I was just a little disappointed the crowd wasn't as into this match. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I expect them to be more into it than they were. It was nice to see three members of the Midnight Express there. Stan Lane, beautiful Bobby Eaton, and Loverboy Dennis Condrey. Great to see Dennis Condrey beat cancer. Obviously, his health has taken a bit of a dive doing the voice box thing, or all that, and being able to talk still. That was really, really good. Well, I mean, doing the raspy voice thing. It's just a miracle that he's able to be there, able to communicate with the crowd. It was great. It's so sad seeing, just how much of a bitch cancer is, but he beat it. That motherfucker beat it, as tough as he is. I mean, fuck, beating cancer. He fell from a scaffold, so of course he was going to beat cancer. I mean, of course he was going to do that. It was great to hear from all three of them. Midnight Express with their rich history in the Carolinas. And then we get, for the semifinals, we get Royce Isaacs and Tom Latimer versus Flip Gordon and Bandito. Medusa is outside still, giving advice to the guys, giving it to Isaacs and Latimer, which I guess is a storyline they're going to go with a little bit later, not just here, but later on. There were some cool dives and everything. There was a 450 by Flip. It seems like he hurt his knee. I think he was selling. I hope he was selling, because he seemed to be selling pretty goddamn well. I mean, Flip is pretty damn good. I really hope he was okay. As of recording this review, I have no idea. So by the time this goes up, if he has suffered injury, please leave in the comments. I really hope that is not the case, though. Flip is really good. But Latimer ends up holding the tights, pins Flip. They might have gone to a quick finish because maybe he was legit hurt. Hopefully not. But wildcard team Isaacs and Latimer advance to the finals. And then we get the Briscoes and Brody King and PCO in the other semifinal match. Excuse me. Things start off a little bit hot, and then Briscoes slow it down, grab some chairs and everything. Seems like they're going to go a little nuts. Just the way it slowed down. Brody and PCO with heavy chops. Jay gets in. Brody gets beat up for a bit. And then there's this dive by PCO. There were a few apron spots, which, by the way, if you didn't know, the apron is the hardest part of the ring. I may mention that once or 50 million times on Twitter, because it's too often the ring announcers say it or the commentary teams say it, so I'm going to mention it. But PCO does this one friggin' dive. He has one of the Briscoes down. I forget which one, but he does this frickin' swanton dive onto the apron. But the Briscoes move, and PCO hits it. It's a good thing PCO has that extra padding, because, my God, it just looked like it frickin' hurt. That was really fucking bad. There was this cool choke slam spot with Brody King slamming one of the Briscoes into the apron, which, again, is the hardest part of the ring. And there was a chair point where everybody had chairs in the ring. Well, even the ref could have grabbed a chair because there was an extra chair there. But the Briscoes go to, swing a chair, and that doesn't end up happening. Like the referee ends up being distracted or whatever, even though, PCO ends up hitting one of the Briscoes. I think it was Jay or Mark. I couldn't tell because he was facing away. But because they didn't see that, then the Briscoes swung a chair, and, the referee called for a DQ. So, yeah, that was a little disappointing. In fact, it was very disappointing. But if you want to tell a way to, not have the Briscoes lose clean, then, okay, losing by DQ is great. And then Brody and PCO advance, but the Briscoes go nuts. They attack everybody. They attack the ref. They attack the commentary team. They attack the trophies. They only attack the referee, Brody and PCO, but I wouldn't put it past them to attack everybody. It was what it was. Briscoes got upset, spit on the NWA logo, blew snot at it. Logo in the ring, by the way. And it was what it was. And now you have to wonder, Brody King and PCO, can they advance? Well, or can they win the whole thing after advancing to the finals? We'll find out after this match. Colt Cabana versus Willie Mack, NWA National Championship. Willie Mack, the national champion. And Willie Mack's a really underappreciated talent. He's gained quite a bit of a following, like from his time in Lucha Underground and Impact. Guy is really, really good. Colt Cabana is also really good. I've seen him live. Guy can still move just as well as he did 10, 15 years before. Good mix of wrestling and power. I really like, how they mix some comedy, but Colt took it a whole lot more seriously. Willie landed. He did this one thing where he was like supposed to do this thing where I think he was going to try and catch himself on the ropes going into the turnbuckle. He didn't, and he just went through. It was like he went out of sight. It looked really bad. I was really concerned for him. It looked really, really rough. Fortunately, he is okay. I think. I don't know. He really did seem hurt there, but you get Colt trying to beat him up afterwards, couldn't put him away. And good near falls you did. It looked like Willie Mack actually might get the victory, but nope. Superman pin, where Colt dives, traps the legs, and pins Willie's shoulders and mat. 1, 2, 3. Colt Cabana, new NWA National Champion. That was good. I was a bit surprised by it because I was like, maybe Willie Mack's going to do it. And no, I'm not against it. I'm not against it. It was cool for what it was. We then get James Storm coming in and basically essentially after running down the whole thing and not being the guy that was handpicked by NWA officials to be their champion and everything, he basically challenged Colt. He says, okay, next time I want to face you for that title. That was basically paraphrasing the whole thing. It was a promo that went on a bit too long, and it really didn't need to go on long. He could have just said, I want your belt, and that. But that was cool. You then get Billy Corgan and the remaining members of the Crockett family out there with the replica NWA tag titles, which is really, really cool. They will be presented to the Crockett Cup winners and the Crockett Cup trophy, which was really nice to get Nikita Koloff, Magnum TA promos, Caprice Coleman there, really selling the whole thing. Nikita Koloff drops the Russian thing and just starts talking. And Caprice is like, what happened to your accent? And Nikita's like, after 35 years, your English has got to get better. And that was pretty funny because Nikita was always so dedicated to his character that it was just really, really nice to see him kind of poke fun at that. Really sad to still see how badly Magnum's health has been affected, since his accident and everything. It really is sad. He seemed to be in better spirits. That's great. It just really does show how rough this business is and just how much these men and women tear their bodies up. And it just really is sad how some careers can be cut short and all that. I don't mean to get too dark here, but it just really is sad. But anyway, that was cool. And then you get a really short finals match. It was Isaacs and Latimer with Medusa. Medusa's out there, so you're thinking, okay, the wild card team's going to win. Nope. PCO and Brody King win. They did a spot where PCO's arm had gotten beat up by the Briscoes and everything, and then Brody King did the shoulder breaker thing, like where he took his partner's arm and did it over his shoulder, and that reset it. And then soon after, moonsault by PCO, 1, 2, 3. This was really short. I'm not against it because this was the fourth match for Isaacs and Latimer and the third match for Brody King and PCO. Thank God they won. Nothing against Isaacs and Latimer. They seem like a very unlikely team and could work really well in the future should they decide to team up in there and in other promotions. But it was good that Brody King and PCO won, especially considering what happened to Villain Enterprises after this. Marty Scurll versus Nick Aldis, NWA title match. There was this woman called Camille, I think. I didn't quite catch her name. Friggin' Amazon, by the way, huge. And I don't mean huge in an insulting way. This woman looks like she could take on most guys. Like she could friggin' bench press the ring if she really wanted. She is an intimidating person. Just intimidating as fuck. Great wrestling. As you would expect. These two guys have known each other for 15 fucking years. This is a match you definitely need to check out. If you don't see anything else on this, one, I recommend you check out the whole card. It's 25 goddamn bucks. It's not that much. It's an affordable show, 11 matches, and this main event alone is worth the price. I enjoyed it. It's a very classic NWA title match. Scurll fakes getting taken out. He fakes getting tripped up while Camille's at ringside, or Camille. I'm just gonna say the Amazon there because that's what she is. And then the Amazon gets taken out. That was pretty cool. He faked it all, to get that. And Aldis is thrown off. I almost call Nick Aldis Magnus because that's what he was in Impact, but Aldis has really, really improved just in the few years that he's been gone from Impact. I mean, not that he wasn't good for a bit. They pushed him a little too soon, but by God, by even a couple years in, he was so goddamn good and has improved so goddamn much and really is a worthy NWA champion. In fact, if I had to rank NWA champions, I'd have to think about it, but he might be top 10. He might be. But anyway, that's another story for another day. Aldis did use some power, really nice skills here. Big choke slam through the table. The Skrull just flies through the table. At one point, Aldis got angry because Skrull spit at him. Soon after, on the outside, Aldis, his eye just gets busted open. He is bleeding bad. I mean, bleeding bad above the eye. Figure 4 spot. Aldis ends up hitting an elbow, but just for 2. Big old superplex by Skrull for 2. Big ref bump. You know, Tommy Young was even there. Former NWA ref. One of the best referees of all time, honestly. Great referee. And he gave the instructions. He didn't do the match. He was outside. Because I believe Tommy Young is almost 80. So, I mean, or, you know, at least in his 70s. So they probably didn't want him to go up and down doing those finishes. Or, you know, those counts. You'll ref bump. But Camille runs down. The Amazon runs down. Looks like she's about to spear Skrull. Aldis stops her. Nope. Go. I want to do this the right way. But then Skrull hits a low blow. It looks like, you know, he's going to hit the Black Plague, get the victory. 1-2. Nope, just 2. Chicken wing, but Aldis gets out, gets into a pin. 1-2. Kick out. Soon after, Kingsman Cloverleaf. I can talk. Hi. Sorry. Been awake for a while. And tap out. Marty Skrull taps out. Magnus, god damn it. Nick Aldis retains. And Nick Magnus Aldis. So I know his name's Nick Aldis. This was really good though. He retained. The show respect at the end. Putting each other over in promos. I really need to end this review. I apologize. But I can't say that this show was great, but it was good. It was a good show. The main event alone dictates I will give this a B. I like the production and everything. I like the fact that history was, you know, respected while they were bringing the NWA into the modern age even more. So I'm gonna say B. There will be a poll up there. Please vote there and let me know in the comments what you guys think. And I apologize for being a little confused here. I maybe had 4 hours of sleep in the past 36 hours. So anyway, agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I'm Joe Ritlin. I will see you soon.